Qumran, Palestine, 1946. In the desert, 10 miles east of Jerusalem, a Bedouin shepherd leaves his flock of sheep and goats to look for a stray. Walking along the cliffs, the shepherd spots a cave in the distance.
He threw a stone into a cave, and he heard the crack of breaking pottery. So he went in to investigate and found jars that contained ancient manuscripts.
The Bedouin shepherd's find led to a discovery of 11 caves that contained the most extraordinary cache of literature, arguably in human history, the Dead Sea Scrolls. There are 800 pieces of literature found in these 11 caves, and it tells us so much about the ancient world. One of the amazing revelations is a story about Noah that we don't see in the Old Testament. And the story is that when Noah is born, he's an extraordinary baby with a strange complexion and the ability to light up the room with his eyes.
What's interesting is that you actually have Noah's father, Lamech, questioning whether or not Noah is his son. And this is due to the fact that we have this story about these fallen angels that came down and had sex with women. Lamech confronts his wife, Bitanosh. Is it my son or is it one of theirs?
Noah's exterior is described as very foreign. His eyes are described to be glowing like sunbeams. His skin is glowing as well. Now that's a very bizarre description. And so one has to ask the question, what if Noah was one of the extraterrestrials?
Could it be, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, that the biblical figure of Noah was, in fact, an alien being? Is this the reason he is described as having a strange complexion and glowing eyes?
The key thing that's going on with Noah is that he is pure in God's sight, and so is his family. And this purity seems to be genetic as much as what you might call spiritual. And so when God makes plans to wipe out the rest of humanity, what he's wiping out is the extraterrestrial dimension of humanity that has come about through the pollution of human genetics.
Could extraterrestrials have sent the Great Flood to cleanse the earth of genetic mistakes and make Noah the father of a new version of humankind? According to ancient stories, the world that Noah's descendants were born into was very different from the one that existed in pre-flood times, when gods, giants, fairies, and other creatures were said to share the planet with humans.
The flood does seem to serve as a demarcation point. In the Bible, we read about how before the flood, people had longer lives, but then after the flood, shorter lives. We see the same thing in Mesopotamian tradition with the Sumerian king list, where before the flood, we have kings that ruled in Mesopotamia with extraordinarily long lives. After the flood, the lengths of reigns of these kings becomes much shorter.
The other thing that happened before this great demarcation is that the gods were present among us. There was a close interaction between the human and the sacred. The gods would guide us, and they would be tempted. There would be interaction. A god might marry a mortal, and then there would be descendants of the gods. Now the gods seem so far away. So there are these theories that this was the big shifting point in human history.
It is really interesting to note that the interaction with these higher beings seems to only be located in the past. All these depictions of there were giants upon the earth, or a time when man interacted with the gods. Where are the gods today? We only seem to have subtle interactions.
It's curious to think why that might have been. What was it about this great flood, this dividing line in history, that caused the separation of God and man? It could be that our evolution depended upon a natural upbringing, an upbringing that was not contaminated by this notion that we're not alone in the universe. It could be a necessary part of the human development.